I do have a great passion for the Bohemian Bahamas. He always talks about it so much and how much passion he has. A couple of my students actually came from Bahamas, and we got them to get hired at EY, and they're working at EY. And yeah, I just have a lot of passion for what you all do and what you all represent.
Okay, well, as you do that, I'm preparing my screen to share. Bear with me one moment as we get that prepared. Okay, there we go. Okay, it's all set up.
All right. We are talking about overcoming boundaries. And today I'll pretty much share with you all my story and try to give you a little tips and tricks on what you can do and how to set aside of breaking through your barriers and your challenges. So I'll go to the next slide. So just a little introduction about me. Like I said, I'm born and raised from St. Louis, Missouri. The universe pretty much connected me with Aj my senior year in high school. Aj.
Yes, that's correct.
Yep, my senior year in high school, we were in the 100 Black Man Dollars and Cents program, which pretty much was a financial literacy program that 100 Black Man put on. I was very quiet. I was not the one to speak up. I sat in the back of the class, and they brought me along. I wasn't even a top presenter at the national convention, but they still brought me along. That pretty much brought my interest into going into finance and accounting. And then after high school, I went to, as I said, Southeast Missouri State. It's a university in Missouri in the United States. After SEMO, what we call it SEMO, after SEMO, got my accounting degree and started working at a company called Panera Bread. We call it St. Louis Bread Co. here because it was originally from St. Louis. I served as a corporate accountant there. After I went to Express Scripts, which is now owned by Cigna, and I also got my master's in accountancy at Lindenwood University. Um, while I was at Express Scripts, the dean from the Harris Stowe, the only HBCU in St. Louis, tapped me on my shoulder and said, "Hey, I want you to teach." I was around the age of 20, 25, I want to say. So I want to say the youngest, probably adjunct professor there at the time, and probably the youngest one to start, to be honest with you. And then after that, I started getting serious with my certified public accounting exam. It's for those who you don't know, it's a 4-part exam that you have to take to be a licensed certified public accountant, which is short for CPA in the United States. So I got serious with that. Then I started working at Ernst Young, which is the top of one of the big 4 firms globally. And my hobbies is to do urban gardening. I like to grow lavender, and we're going to see where this goes from there. So I first want to start with you all to say like my reason and why did I choose accounting. So, you're going to get that question in anything you do in life. You become a firefighter, engineer, or an astronaut. People are going to ask you, hey, why did you do that? So my reasoning was really simple. It was really based off my family. I grew up, didn't have a father in my life, single parent home. And my family always complained about finances. It was always about, I'm not really sure how the tax structure is in Bahamas, but in the United States, you get tax credits for having kids and having being below a certain income line, and you get money back pretty much. And every tax season came around, they always complained about who was claiming who, or just taxes in general, and people were always asking for $1 or $5, and it just kind of added up. And over the time, I just sat back and I was young, like, man, why are these people always, my family, why are these people always asking about money? It's kind of like it's not really making sense to me. Are we broke? Are we poor? We live in a house, but people are always asking about money, and it's always a money problem, and always gambling, and I mean, just so many different nuances in life. So my whole reason was to really go to college, learn about finances, and bring that back to my family and in my community, and show them that they don't have to live how we live in, and we can improve, and we can, start building wealth. You can do next slide. So I just want to remind everybody that, big journeys begin with small steps. My mentor has always taught me in any situation, when you are unclear about anything, always break it down. My mother, she always says this, and she jokingly says it, but I literally say this. I just say, hey, I need you to break this down to me to the lowest common denominator because I don't understand what's going on. And when you take that approach with your life and break it down to see which steps you have to take, you can reach your goal. All right, you can go to the next slide. So when you're talking about overcoming barriers, it's almost always you start with overcoming the day, and you need to seize the day, carpe diem, and it almost always start with stress. Sometimes with most people who can't get things done, so it almost start with stress. So you're stressed, and it leads to you procrastinating, and now that's the obstacle, your obstacle, which now is hindering you from your goal. So I first wanted to start off with what is stress, right? Stress is pretty much someone being overwhelmed. They're operating pretty much at the edge of their ability. I mean, they're running hard. It's like running on a treadmill and you feel like you're getting nowhere. So then that leads you to being a procrastinator because that's your coping mechanism. It's like, okay, well, I'm stressed. So let me sit on the couch. Let me watch Netflix. Let me watch one show. Let me watch this. And then that show, it just kept on building up. It kept on going on. So, but when you're in that stage, you also are lazy. You pretty much, your mind is persuading you to, hey, go watch this TV, go do this, go do X, Y, and Z, but it's telling you everything that you should not be doing, right? Versus what you should be doing. That's the stage of you being a procrastinator. And now you are your own obstacle. It's in your mind. There's nothing outside is affecting you. Sometimes in certain situations are, but in your mind of you sitting down, being stressed and obstacle, everything is in your mind and you need to get out of that. You're blocking yourself from your own progress. And now we get to goals. So when you are making a goal to get yourself out of this whole situation, and even with your life goals too, it needs to be obtainable, right? It needs to be arm's release. If it's too close, it's easy. But if it's too far, then it's gonna be lack of motivation to get it. So for an example, if you're running, if you ever guys run workout with a partner and you guys are going side by side, it's going to be, tug and go. Like I'm trying to beat him, he's trying to beat her, back and forth. But if someone is too far in front of you, you lose your lack of motivation. Like I'm not going to catch up. I mean, it's just not going to happen. But if you're that person that's that far and look back and say, hey, this is too easy, that's also a lack of motivation because there's no motivation there. So there really needs to be, an obtainable goal that you can reach. And now, as you can go to the next slide. So I want to start with tell you about my story and how I got where I'm at. So, again, I started out in high school, started with the dollars and cents program where I learned about finance and accounting and everything and stuff about like that. And then I decided to do accounting in college. And, soon in college, I told myself, like, man, how do I make the most money? And, it's not about money, but how do I make the most money and, take that and bring it to my family in the most efficient way? And, they said the CPA, that's the route to go. You learn about finance, you learn about money, you're in everybody's business. It's a great route. I said, great. So right then and there, I told myself I was going to be a CPA. So now I had to break it down into small steps. So the first step was graduating college because you need 120 credit hours just to take the exam. But then with the CPA, you need 150 credit hours to go further. So I knew at that point I need to take my master's. So these steps, I set this out in college. When I look at my NABA scholarships, I've been a scholar for 3 years in a row. I look at, even now to this day, I go back and read my old scholarship letters, and each letter it says, hey, you're going to get your master's, you're going to get your CPA, you're going to do this. I laid it out, I spoke it into existence. So, I started my CPA journey. Well, let me backtrack. Back in college, I took my first accounting class. I failed 3 times in a row. I couldn't pass the class. The very first accounting class that you got to pass, your very first class, you're in your major. I failed it, but I never gave up. And then I finally passed it, got into my second class, and I failed it 2 more times. I said, man, I never told myself that, hey, this is not for me. But in the back of my head, I was like, man, I'm really just not getting it. But in my back of my head, I already had my goal. That was my goal, was to be a CPA, and this was just only an obstacle in my way to pass that goal. And then it goes back to my why, and I'll get to that later. But so that was my first obstacle that I had to go with, that I had to pass. And after passing those, I looked up. I had a 4.0 in accounting in my major. I don't know how that happened, but it happened. It just kept, I just kept going at it. I just kept studying. I just kept being persistent and consistent of what I was doing and authentic to myself. So now, I feel like that was my real first stage of me, proving to myself that I can pass a barrier. And now I'm going to just jump to my CPA. So, I'm studying for my CPA. I started at Panera studying for my CPA, and I failed the first test. And I was like, okay, well, everybody fails the first test. Then I failed the second test. Then I went back again and failed the third test. I looked up 3 years later, I never passed the test yet. I was depressed. I'm human. I go through my trials and tribulations. At the time, my grandfather had passed away, had different nuances going on in my life. But, I never lost my faith in my ability to win. I had to sit down with myself and say, hey, how can I pass this? And my mentor always tells me, break it down into steps. Okay, so then I had to ask myself, okay, why am I not passing? Because you're not studying. Why are you not studying? Because you have distractions. Why do you have distractions? Because you are allowing people to enter into your life at the wrong time. So now when you keep on asking your 5 whys of why, and get down to the root of it, you're going to realize what's the real problem, what you need to change. So how can that help you get to your day-to-day? It starts with true motivation. I mean, it really does. It's deep within you, right? It's really deep within you. Within myself, of my why I want to pass to be a CPA is because of my family. I want to become a CPA because I want to bring back to help my family and my community. So it's deep within me. And then my goal is enduring. It's not short. It's not short at all. It's still long, and it's long lasting. So when you're choosing a goal, like, again, it has to be true motivation. It has to be enduring. It has something that you love, and that it's going to help the people around you. It has to be continuing. You pick a goal and you accomplish it. Now you're bored. Once you graduate college, it's kind of funny. My cousin kind of came over yesterday. He's an engineer, and he's very smart. Graduated college. Now he's making a lot of money, and now he came back and say, "Hey, I'm bored, cousin. I don't know what to do." Like, well, you don't have any goals. Like, what do you want to do? What do you like to do? What are your goals? And then the third one is being profound. I don't know if you can hear it in my voice, but it has to be real authentic to yourself and your goals. And then to all tie it in, it has to be non-material. And when I'm thinking non-material, I'm not thinking of these material aspects of nice cars and nice house and the bling bling and the change. I mean, you have to value yourself. What do I value within myself? That is the non-material that I'm referring to. And I'll actually go to the next slide. So, what are the 4 keys to building a foundation of a successful life? I always feel like the first one is self-love. When you wake up and brush your teeth, hopefully I think everyone has a mirror in the bathroom. You have to love yourself. If you don't think you deserve something or that you can achieve something, then you won't. I mean, it's just simple as that. If I didn't believe I could pass CPA, if I didn't believe I can't, graduate college, if I didn't believe I wouldn't make it out, then I wouldn't. But you got to believe within yourself. It's self-love. Loving yourself and your authentic self and being yourself anyways and always. When you walk out the door, that's, again, my mentor always told me, you are on stage. Everyone is watching you. But aside of everybody watching, you gotta love yourself. You watching yourself. So again, I never lost my faith into my ability to win. And when I was being, torn to the ground, when I have these different obstacles in my life, my grandfather passed, and I can't do this. My mom doing one thing. We got bills over here. I never stopped thinking about my next move when I was being pounded to the ground. And so the second one is, which I was most important, is find your why. Now, your why is what's deep within you. It's the power that brings you through those tough moments. It's like, man, why am I doing this? And I'm doing this because of my family. I'm doing this because, because I care. I care about them to get out. And when I say get out, I mean build a better lifestyle, have more wealth. That's why I'm doing it. And, your why, I don't know, for a second, I was gonna get the water. So your why can really carry you through a lot of things. I mean, it really can. I can't express that long enough. And then you have to set true intentions with yourself. It goes back to your goals. What is your ultimate goal? My ultimate goal in my professional pages of my scholarships, my goals were to graduate college, get my master's in accountancy, become a CPA, and now become a CFO of a Fortune 500 company. I haven't reached that goal yet, but
seems like he froze for a moment. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Okay, let's pause for a moment.
every day, and that's what the fourth one. Do it every day. I mean, every single day.
Jeremiah, you paused for a moment just to let you know.
Oh yeah, my internet has been going crazy lately. I don't know what's going on over here.
Okay.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
What's the last part that you heard?
No, but you continue. It was not a big gap, but just FYI.
Okay, so I say do it every day. Whatever you're doing, be consistent at every day. You know, if your goal is to work out every day, you know, do 100 push-ups a day, and one day you do 10. You know, at least you hit that goal of doing a push-up one day. You know, every day, and you have to find the daily bread in every day. That's what you do. I don't know. Let me break that down. So, you know, my main job right now is I am an accountant for the Air Force. I do pretty much, I help the Air Force out with accounting. That's United States Department of Defense. And, you know, every day I wake up, I find the daily bread of helping people out because now I'm helping out my country. So when I look at the bigger picture of what I'm doing, you know, and how that relates to my overall happiness, then, you know, it makes it easier to wake up every day and do it. But if you don't like what you're doing, I mean, I think it's about time to do some soul searching, you know, find what you really like to do. Next slide, please. So that leads me to how we live our life. So we live our life from yesterday and tomorrow. So this is how we live our life. We live our life in judgment and regret and pain from what we did yesterday, right? I have regret that I didn't study. I have regret I didn't do this assignment. I have regret I didn't, you know, do this deliverable, whatever. And now we live from this pain. And then now from the tomorrow, you know, we live with this anticipation, this anxiety and fear of what's going to happen. You know, but you know, we have to eliminate both of these factors, yesterday and tomorrow, and live in today. That's how we should be living our lives. Don't worry about what happened yesterday. Don't worry about what's going to happen tomorrow. Yesterday was a history. Tomorrow is a mystery, but today is a present. So live in today. Next slide, Ash. And Buddha once said, every morning we are born again. What we do today is what matters the most. So every day you wake up, every day, think about living in today and not tomorrow, not yesterday, not what someone wants you to be. Be your authentic Jeremiah. I'm being my authentic me every day I wake up. That is, I want to say that was it. And I left the rest of the presentation for us to have conversations because I know you wanted to be interactive.
Yes, wonderful. I will stop the share of the screen. And great. And now we can engage the audience. So, ladies and gentlemen, do you have any questions for Jeremiah? No questions?
Well, I have a question.
Yes.
I guess Mario, what is your goals? And usually, no, let me scratch that. What is one thing that you always think about every day when everything else is going crazy? What is one thing you think about? And usually, what you think about is really not the answer, your first answer. But go ahead.
Well, honestly, it's about providing for my family. You know, that's the driving force to going out every day. Having your own business. You know, that's what matters the most.
So he said providing for his family, which is, it sounds like the reason, but that's really not the reason why. Why do you want to provide for your family?
Well, so we could survive, so we could prosper, so
Well,
the kids could go to school, pay the bills.
Why do you want them to go to school? Why do you want them to prosper?
Also, they can be successful in life.
Well,
And,
why do you want them to be successful? I want you to say it. You're gonna say it. You're gonna say it soon.
well, so they could be the best person they could be.
But why do you want them to be the best person you want them to be?
Well, because they're mine.
Because they're mine. Because
they're my kids.
Because he loves them.
That's right. Yes.
That's the reason why. Not the reason why because they have to be successful because they're in school. Because he loves them. That's the reason why. Who else? Andrea. My student from the Bahamas. She's her name was Andrea as well. So when I seen, I'm like, is this her? I'm like, but she didn't tell me she was gonna be on. What's one of your goals?
I'm always thinking about my family. I'm thinking about how to make a difference through the work that I do. To change, the way people think and make an impact.
All right.
Yeah.
Jeff Freya. I hope I did not say that wrong.
It's Jeff Farah.
Miss Gibson, how about that?
That's fine.
What are your goals?
Well, the one thing that I think about the most is really living a full life. A life where I have balance in work and a life that I also get to fully enjoy through adventure.
What type of adventure?
Just doing some things that I never got a chance to do, like hitting bucket list things, like traveling to unique places, just having exotic experiences.
All right. You right in the middle of my screen. Kaylin, what keeps you up at night?
You mean like my goal?
Yep.
I mean, my goal is to basically finish law school and become a lawyer.
What made you want to become a lawyer?
So I can basically, help out my father and, work for them side by side and eventually, take over for him if I have to.
All right. Gerard? Maybe I should go to Ethan.
You can hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Yeah. So with me, it's about the love for my country and the love for my kids and wanting to be able to leave the world in a better place than I met it.
I like that answer. I feel like everybody's goal should go to be make the world a better place after they leave. Ethan?
Yes, sir. You want to know what my is?
Ethan, your reception's kind of, your reception, we didn't hear you very well. The reception broke up.
You hear me better now?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Okay. And you're asking what my goal is?
Yeah, what keeps you up at night? What's your goal?
Well, I have a lot of goals, to be honest, but I guess the biggest one is like to do something that matters and like be remembered for something.
What type of remember for something?
I just want to be someone great, somebody that, when people come to my funeral, they could really, say that, wow, the world will miss this person, you know.
I'm glad you said that, because in America we have a lot of crazy things happening. So you can be room for a lot of things. So that's why I asked you. So I want to ask the group, so what's one obstacle that's holding you back from anything? And can you mediate that right now so when it does happen, the blow isn't as hard?
You're asking what obstacles has been keeping us from some of the goals that we want to achieve?
Yeah.
Okay, like, well, for me, it would be financial, because obviously, well, I don't have as much money as I would like to have to live my life on the go and have the experience that I want to have. And that obviously can be fixed by proper planning and saving, and as well as time. So what I'm thinking is I need to make enough money so I can retire early, or carve out a lot more time, or take more vacations so that I could do certain things. Because like for me, what is important is having a full and balanced life, having a life where I work hard, that I give back, participate in philanthropy, but also where I get to also enjoy the fruits of my labor. So it will be financial planning, saving more, and then finding a way, or avenue where I can free up some of my time, whether that is create some sort of passive income so that I don't have to work as hard or work long hours, so they could compensate for, you know, some things that I want to do.
All right. Anybody else?
We have O'Neill and Agatha. Felicity just joined. So they missed the presentation, but they can jump in if they choose.
O'Neill, questions. We talked about overcoming barriers and goals and obstacles and stress. So I asked everyone, what is your goals? What keeps you up at night?
I mean, I guess I could say I have a long-term goal. I'd call it of just, becoming, I mean, I guess everyone usually say this, but just being like a successful person, or, like having a good career in the field that I want to study in, or stuff like that, or being a businessman.
Agatha?
Hi, good evening, everyone. In terms of obstacle, I don't feel I have anything holding me back. I'm just on the journey and improving day by day and staying in the conscious meditation of the goal, which is just for me, health, wealth, and happiness, which is what I have now, but which I wish to augment every day more and more.
I love that answer. And I think the best part about that answer is she said the journey. When you're going through the journey, I mean, it's not going to be easy, and you have to embrace the journey for the goods and the bads, really take it on, and hold back with no regrets and enjoy every moment of it. And, when things don't go your way, don't get mad at the next person. Don't blame yourself. Like, don't play the victim, don't play the victim. Like the word is against you. Always just keep going and enjoy the journey. Who else? Andrea? Any obstacles you going through?
I think similar to Jafara with the time. I mean, financial as well. But with the time, I'm just trying to find that balance and be proficient as a parent in personal life, in your relationships, and then advance professionally. Finding that balance could be an obstacle. Yeah, you just have to work at it.
Now, everybody's in school, right?
No, we have some professionals on here as well.
Okay.
In school. But Jeremiah, I'm going to ask you a question. You during your presentation, you spoke on the use of word that we've heard other guest presenters speak, and that is being your authentic self. And in terms of the barriers, how do you overcome barriers when you feel that if being your authentic self can be a barrier, because essentially you make it a barrier, or being your authentic self can create barriers for yourself. So how do you, in your journey, what have you discerned or what have you learned about what they call covering up, or being a cover? In your corporate America, you have to be a certain way, but you ultimately want to ultimately be your authentic self. But you find that as you go through your journey in life, being your authentic self, how do you reconcile that with overcoming barriers?
That is a good one, Ash. You move on and find another situation. So, you know, my first job was Panera Bread, and Panera Bread is a bakery, fast chain restaurant, fast casual, and you know their slogan was to come to work and be your authentic self. So I know that you all have had presentation with VP bankers of Bank of America and Wachovia and Wells Fargo and these top people, where, you know, when they were my age, you know, they couldn't probably wear, you know, rings and tattoos on your face and certain jewelry and stuff like that. They had to come probably like how we're coming now, you know, but, you know, at Panera, you know, people had, you know, tattoos on their face. They came to work with t-shirts on. I mean, it was really just you being you. So that was right when I graduated. So that was a really good environment for me. And now that, you know, I switched over to Express Scripts, it didn't really fit my personality. Now I had to play the game. I couldn't be my authentic self because people are really not accustomed to that, you know. But, you know, when you come into a job, you know, you got to play by their rules. And, you know, I realized by me playing by their rules for so long, it ultimately disrupted my happiness. And I had to make a change because I knew I wasn't going to last in this type of environment. But, you know, I guess to answer your question, in the short term, you know, I just had to play the game, you know, just simply playing the game. And, you know, when that means playing the game, it's, you know, it's do what the Romans do, right? That's a phrase. So if people are coming to work and, you know, with certain town, well, I'm going to come to work with certain town. But however, though, I never played their game with me being myself as me working or me being my personality. You know, I always kept it professional. I always, you know, came to work, you know what I mean, authentic and never, you know, judge anybody. But, you know, you're not going to change me how I'll never let no one change the way I work, because I know my work product is authentic, and I'm gonna provide. I got to operate at a level of excellence, and that's how I know I'm gonna operate. So ultimately, that was the short term answer. And the long term answer, you know, I found an environment where, you know, I could be my authentic self. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions, anybody?
Yeah, I have a question, but I have two questions, but I'll start with when I get articulate better. So I wanted to know what got you into the farming and why lavender in particular.
I forgot about that, didn't I? So I keep on referring to my mentor always told me. My mentor is Aj Cunningham right there. I don't know if that was obvious. And I'm not sure if you guys know Oz on a personal level or maybe after the call. He likes to talk. He just talk, blah, 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 blah. And again, in high school, you know, I was quiet. You know, like we had, you know, the competition was 4 people presented. I was a quiet one. And, you know, people say quiet. Yeah, okay, he's probably weird. He's just sitting there. He's not really too smart. I'm just thinking this out of the top of my head. He never said this. And, you know, I used to listen though. So while people are talking, you know, I used to sit back and listen like, okay. And people always said real estate, do real estate. Buy land, do this, do that. And I can't remember one of these conversations. I always heard of doing real estate. So when I bought my house, I was again 25, and the land next to my house was vacant. So I bought the land next to my house in hopes to do real estate. And I realized I don't want to do real estate because I don't want to be a landlord, just because I don't want to be a landlord. That's just not a passion of mine. But I have the land. So now I have this land here. Like, what am I going to do with it? I told myself, well, let me do a community garden for the community I live in. I live in like a low poverty area, kind of by the 100 Black Man building in St. Louis, just to support my community. And so I decided to do a garden. But then I went to my 5 whys, my roots whys. Do I really want to do this? I was like, no, I don't want to do this. So I kept on researching. I searched the herb, and lavender popped up. I just researched it. I love how lavender grows. Lavender does its best when it's neglected. It thrives off of sunlight, and you can water it every 2 weeks. So when I heard that, it kind of reminded me of kind of like my story. I mean, I grew up single parent home, no father. I mean, I was always a quiet person. I sat back, I listened, and I thought about lavender. I'm like, man, this a lot sounds like the typical boohoo American story. You sit me right here in this corner. All you need to do is give me a little water sometimes, but all I need is sunlight to shine, and I can grow. I can do that. So that's why I ultimately chose lavender. I know it's a long story of why I chose it, but it was really passionate of like, wow, this is how it grows, and this reminds me of myself.
Okay, and I had another question. So when you were speaking, you spoke about how one of your motivating factors was, your family and providing for your family, and how that pushed you into doing what you're doing, going along the path you're on now. So I wanted to know whether that ever felt like pressure for you in your journey, and if you still feel that pressure or that pull to provide now that you have advanced to a certain stage of success.
That is a great question. Yes, I do feel like the black sheep of my family, and I still feel that pressure today. I felt it in college, and I don't think that's a pressure that's ever going to go away unless I just become the next Jeff Bezos, where they can get out of my life. I can buy them a planet and have them go up there. But yes, I do feel that pressure though. Yes. Again, I don't let it affect me, and I use that pressure for energy. You can get down and sad, but it's like I use that to just pick me up. And I know it's so simple to say, but that's the equation. It's just that simple. Like I use that to fuel my fire and to keep me going.
Agatha has a question.
Agatha.
Yes. I have a son that works at Ernst Young here in Nassau, and he graduated with his bachelor's in finance. And with coming out of university and starting your first real job, you may have like maybe great aspirations or ideas of what the job may be, but getting into the workplace, maybe you're not doing the things you thought you would, but just understanding you're just entering a new industry and stuff like that. And I wanted to know, like, the job takes up a lot of his time, so there's not really much time to maybe explore other passions or whatnot. But I want to know if you could share something to encourage him.
Thank you. What's your son's name? I don't mind reaching out to him
Elijah Delancey.
All right.
His first name is Ras, R-A-S. It says Ras Elijah Delancey. And thank you for that.
All right. I dealt through the same challenge. My first job, even though, again, I feel like I the universe was in my hands when I first started at a company called Panera, and it was authentic, free food. You come to your work, be yourself. But there were still days where I had challenges and I didn't know how to handle them. I don't know if you remember, a couple of days when I messed up and I called you during work, and I was like, man, this happened and I don't know what to do. And you say, calm down, go back in there. You were wrong. That's number one. And go apologize. And in my head, my head's like, but I always trust his words and what he told me. And I walked back in there and it's like, I apologize, and felt the fire, whatever they told me. So, my words for him, he is in a really great place. Maybe I'm, biased because I'm working for the company in accounting, but accountancy is a great profession because it can take you a lot of different places. So, I would tell him, at least stick within it until he's a manager, because after that, he has so many different places where he can go. And, you know, I would tell him to use his network to feel him where he wants to go next, even though he probably doesn't know where he want to go, like you said it, because he's so busy with the time that he's doing now. But, you know, you can really find time in a lot of different places. You know, you know, I know a lot of people like their weekends, but, you know, if your weekends is you figuring out what you want to do with your life, you got to do that instead of going out. So, you know, he's in a great place. I will definitely reach out to him and don't mind having a conversation with him. But, you know, stick within it. It's going to be fruitful in the end. I can almost promise you that. And just, you know, stay abode and keep going.
Thank you so much. Great advice.
Farah has a question.
Okay, so you talk a lot about achieving goals and some of the goals you accomplish. What kind of advice you would give for people who may reach like a plateau? You know, sometimes you may have things that you want to accomplish, but it's like at a standstill. So what kind of advice would you give as it relates to keep staying motivated when you've reached that like plateau?
I always go back to your why. So it was like, you know, your why is what's going to keep you fueling and what's going to keep you motivated. And when you're pretty much at that standstill with your life, or standstill with whatever situation that you're in that you're referring to, it's that, you know, put it on the bucket list board every day. Look at it every day. You know, when I was taking my test, there's a certain period where you cannot take a test, where you can't do anything. So you're pretty much, I'm standing still where I can't study. I can study, but, you know, I have a lack of not studying, but I can't take a test. So I can't do anything. So you have to find yourself to find ways to motivate yourself. And my way of motivating myself was putting it on my bucket list board. So every day I wake up, I see my message. When I go down to my refrigerator, I see my message. When I brush my teeth, I see my message. When I'm in my car, I see my message. Literally, I mean, I took it to that extreme. And, you know, because it reminds yourself every day. When I say every day, you gotta do it every day. I'm seeing it every day. I'm speaking into existence every day, and I'm actioning it every day. But in this situation, you said you can't really action it. But, you know, it really goes back to your why and why you're doing it, because that's what's going to get you motivated.
Okay, thank you. What it sounds like is we have to be very strategic about reaching our goals. It's not something that is vague. It's there's still a science to it, basically. It sounds like.
Yeah. I would come back and add more. You know, some of the tactics that I do is I do messages around my life. So if I'm waking up in my house, if I'm going into am I still sorry about that? If so, I do messages around my house. I do things that make me happy. I go back to my origin. So I was born in my house in St. Louis, Missouri. So this probably sounds weird, but, you know, when I'm feeling really down, where all else fails, of everything I just told you, I'm feeling really down. You know, I go back to the room I was born in, and I just lay there, and I look up and I just think about my childhood and think about that. That reassures my why of what I'm doing. So, you know, that's one of the texts I do. So I always say, go back to your origin of like, man, where did I come from? Like, why am I doing this? Like, really, the real root of it. That's the second thing I do. The third thing I do is, you know, I call my grandmother. You know, not to say my grandmother. I call somebody who is always positive, or somebody who I know is going to make me laugh, who I know is going to uplift me. You know, the fifth thing I do is I watch my favorite video on YouTube. It's probably inappropriate, but I'm not going to mention it. But, you know, it's just like watching something that's going to make you laugh. Like, man, that was my day is bad right now. Let me just go to here, this video, watch it. Wow, that's going to bring me up. I did that too. And the sixth one is kind of dangerous to go into. I picture my life of where I'm going to be after I reach that goal. So I'm going to, after I reach this goal of having 1,000 plants of lavender and selling this lavender, I'm going to be the Bahamas with Ash, or I'm going to live in this big house. See, living in a big house, that I think that's kind of dangerous, because now you're putting yourself in a space where it's material. But, you know, being at a destination or something like that, then that's something different. But that's just how I view it. So those are the tricks I honestly I really do when I'm feeling down and I need that motivation.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
Well, great. Do we have any other questions for Mr. Hathorn, Jeremiah?
Yeah, I have one question.
Go ahead.
What's really impressive is seeing, hearing your story and where you come from. But I wanted to ask you, with the stigma of the Black culture in the United States, whereas they feel that it is a form of a systemic oppression that Black people cannot get to the level at where you're at. What did you do to help you to separate yourself from that mentality?
Oz always told me to be diverse. So when he told you when he first read off my bio, it said 100 Black man, it said National Association for Black Accountants, it said black, and I said, when I look at your resume, I can tell you're Black. He's like, you shouldn't. This is what he told me. He's like, you said you shouldn't. I shouldn't be able to read your resume, and I know you're just Black. You should be more diverse. I'm like, what? I love my Black people. I'm not saying that. I'm saying put yourself in a situation. Put yourself in a situation where you're not comfortable. Put yourself in a situation where it's different. So to separate myself, I started hanging around different type of people. But I still hang around my Black friends. I still hang around everybody. So I hang around everybody, Hispanic, Black. I mean, I opened up to different cultures, different organizations. And, I think that really set me apart because now I can come in a room and talk to everybody. I can talk to, the nerds. I can talk to the intelligent people. I can talk to the ignorant people who don't know as much. I can talk to I mean, this is a serious question because when you're around certain people in life, you can walk in a room and that's why we're dangerous because we can walk in a room and we can talk to the person on the street and we can talk to the CEO. So I would say the most strategic things and the best advice I've ever got was being diverse. So, and that started with college. That started when I travel a lot, just talking to that random Asian American at the bar, talking to that random Caucasian person at the bar, talking to that random Cambodian, anywhere, at the workplace, just pretty much stopping and learning about other people's cultures and really pretty much learning about their story because everybody has a story. You just have to really just get out of them. And people really want to tell their story, but people don't know how to be approached. So the main thing was to set me apart was to be more diverse, being around, putting myself in situations where I was uncomfortable and really opening up to the universe that, I'm just not another N-word that what we call each other in America.
Piggybacking off of Gerard's question, what advice would you give the group in dealing with adversity? Persons giving you problems on the job or trying to pull you down. How would you address that in your under your circumstance? What advice would you give on that?
I always took a different approach to those actions. So, people who try to pull you down, depending on how they do it, because I worked at a company where they brought politics into the company, which I thought that was amazing. But depending on how a person that brings you down, I always try to take the opposite route of going away from that person. I would go to that person. So, if somebody's trying to put me down and I'm recognizing that, I mean, in my head, I'm a very optimistic person. So it's like, why is this person trying to put me down? What are they going through? What are their life change? What are their life, hardships? Do they have something affecting them behind the scenes and now they come to work and they put it on me? So, I took that opportunity to set up one-on-ones with those certain people who didn't like me. And I'm very direct, it goes back to being authentic. I'm very direct. So I would ask somebody like, hey, why don't you like me? Or why is there some type of friction between us? And they would tell me, and then, I would get to know them. And ultimately, it really wasn't me that was the problem. It was their self. That's my advice. I'm not saying that's the best advice because I know it's certain people in certain situations, but I always try to go towards the negativity and try to get to the root cause of like what's the underlying reason why you're doing this? Like what's going on? Other situation when, you know, somebody brought politics in the room to the workplace, I didn't bother with that. You know, at the time, you know, we had the last presidency going and the other one, and that was a battle I was not going to fight. Is let me just say. But with the adversity and everything, you know, I would really just try to find the root cause of it, of why they're messing with you. But at the end of the day, you know, some people are just nasty and evil. So you got to keep a level head and always ask yourself, man, this is my goal, and this is only an obstacle in my way of achieving that goal. So, you know, sometimes you gotta take the spit in the face. They're gonna spit you in the face, and you gotta just take it, wipe it off, and come back to work. They're gonna do it again, wipe it off, come back to work. Do it again, wipe it off, come back to work. And you're gonna hurt them by doing that, because you know people can you could throw so many punches at somebody until your arms start getting tired.
Wonderful.
Thank you for that.
So I have another question to ask. I noticed a few times in your commentary today you referenced the universe. What is your take on your spiritual journey using the traditional Christianic method versus the spirituality that I hear you often reference to?
So I am
how has the difference helped you with your journey?
So I am a believer in God and Jesus Christ. And I never really heard the term universe until honestly, again, I met Aj. And he always talked about the universe and how the universe pulls things together, but you have to open yourself up to certain things. So, you know, he always tell me now to this day, I need to find a mentor, a mentee, and I need to open up to the universe, and then that mentee will come. So just taking what he always talking about, open up to the universe and how the universe works. You know, I honestly, I didn't really believe it until I want to say 3 years ago when I was on, we was in a conference in Vegas. I just remember that I was in a conference in Vegas, and I wanted to meet a certain accountant. I wanted to meet more accountants at the conference, at 100 Black Man conference, and Oz had told me to open myself up to the universe, and you'll see that. And I didn't know what that meant, and he kind of broke it down. He broke it down in pieces for me, and surely that conference, I met an accountant, and I met another accountant, and then I networked with that same accountant, and it kind of just went down the domino effect, and now I'm here at EY just because of me opening up to the universe at that single conference. I mean, you know, we're all, you know, I feel like we're all really connected in this world, and because I mean, it's really a small world when you kind of start traveling, thinking about it. But really open up to the universe, it has really allowed me to be where I'm at. And just for another example, you know, taking it back to 100 Black Men, you know, I first met Aj through 100 Black Men. That's my connection with 100 Black Men. And fast forward, now I'm the treasurer of the same chapter that I was a mentee for. And, you know, I never wanted to do public accounting. I knew that. I said it's too hard. Let me just be honest with you. I said it's too, they work long hours, too hard, yada, yada, yada. But then I sat down and like, let me open up to the universe of doing this. And with that same thing, we had our gala that day. And, you know, somebody who knew Aj got in contact with me. It was so random. It wasn't set up. It just kind of how it happened. And he told me to go to EY. He was like, apply for EY, don't apply for nowhere else. Like, what? Can't just tell me, well, I don't want to do this. He said, do it. And how just the universe worked, how I met this person, how he was just swaying and going, how the river was going.
You froze again. He should join us back in a moment or two. So as we wait for Jeremiah to, Jeremiah, you're back. You froze for a moment.
Oh man.
So you were saying you were connecting, and someone told you to join EY, and so that's where you froze.
Oh man. Did I mention the gala?
Yes, you the Gaylor, and through, yes, you mentioned the Gaylor, and someone through the connection through me told you to go to EY, apply at EY. You said no, but then you did it. That's
Yeah. So ultimately how the river went and how me opening up to the universe of allowing me to go into this space of public accounting and CPA, you know, it really originated through Aj. I mean, honest with you, but I don't like to give him the credit. And you know, I wouldn't be here. I feel like I wouldn't be here for the day where I'm at.
But let me just thank Jessica. I want to add a word to something everyone, I always said to Jeremiah. He gives me more credit than it deserves. I say to everyone that he and other mentees that everyone, just like each one of us, we walk in our own footsteps. And his journey, his destiny, his hard work is his hard work. And what I did as I stood along the way, sometimes I was there, sometimes he's by himself, but he did the work. So and also it's being receptive to growth and receptive to change. I have an adage I say all the time, and I may have mentioned this to some of you individually. A teacher is always a student. The moment that teacher stops being a student, they are no longer a teacher. You have to understand that even through this presentation, I have learned afresh and anew, and we have to be humbled. And so the same thing that he's articulating and what I've learned is that life is a journey. It's a continuous step of learning and growing. And it's applying those fundamentals of disciplines or the equation to success. And discipline is one of those things. And also, when you talk about overcoming barrier, if I can just indulge, that all of us, not every one of us, when we look at individuals who are in a state of survival to those who may be soaring, there's one thing that's consistent in our everyday life. We have challenges. Someone may have $100 million challenge. Someone may have a $25 challenge. But at the end, as a human being, how we behave and deal with that challenge is all the same. And so we have to innately, at a basic level, in our human experience, we have to sometimes understand that we have to get out of our own way. And also sometimes it's not about getting to the result, it's really just stopping. We say stop and exhale, stop and inhale, and just stop and breathe. Because as Jeremiah said, you have yesterday, you have tomorrow. I said, what is it in the now? The now is really just taking a moment and breathe. And guess what? Sometimes we all felt this. We may not necessarily know the answer. We don't know what the answer is. But if we simply get up and run, we can run into the wall. So it's better if you don't know the answer to take a moment and just stop. Just stop and breathe. So Jeremiah has done a lot of work, and I thought that overcoming barriers is something that's many of us can tell about the challenges and the barriers that we overcame. And some barriers, there's some barriers in our past where we may have decided to go the other direction because we felt that that was not for us, or someone may have told you or told us that's not for you, that's not good for you. But in your core of your dreams, in your essence of your life, you felt that that was your destiny, but for some reason or some purpose, you let it go. And that's the challenge of life at times. Do you want to let something go for the practical purpose of the near-term realization? Or do you want to stick with that long-term why and stick with it? And sometimes when you stick with those long-term goals, and it will bring immediate barriers into your wake, into your daily life. And the question becomes, do you want to endure and struggle through these barriers to overcome it? But if you look at it like water coming down the hill with a boulder, you can say that boulder is there and it stops you, or you can be like water, go over it, under it, around it, but keep on flowing. But Jeremiah, I thank you for your presentation. Do we have any final questions for Jeremiah as we wrap up this session? Well, thank you very much, Jeremiah. I look forward, your contribution is well appreciated. I look forward to you coming back on our celebration, and we can hear the stories that our emerging leaders have partaken from this conversation, and they'll be able to apply that into their ongoing life. So before we move any further, I want to just reach out to our Facebook audience and really tell you, the Facebook audience, we appreciate you joining us today. Once again, this is our 10th session. We have 2 more sessions to go before our 3-month program, 12-week program comes to an end. And next week's session will be career readiness and building a strong foundation. And in that, we will have 2 Bahamians. One is a provost from a university. For those who may not know sure what a provost is, in the university system, the provost is the chief academic officer. So the chief academic officer for the university is a Bahamian, and he will be here next week as well. And we'll also have an environmental scientist who is also working for a major chemical company in the United States, and they are committed to prepare young Bahamians for the environmental sector and to really champion the natural resources. Remember, the foundation, the purpose of the foundation is the protection, the economic viability, and the ecological sustainability of the natural resources of the Bahamas, of which the Bahamian citizens are our #1 natural resource. So please go to our website, www.bahamasnaturalresources.org/membership, and join and become a member of the foundation. This is your foundation. We are doing great things, and we have a lot more great things in order. Also, as we bring this class to a session to wrap, we will have a second Emerging Leaders program in the early part of next year. So we'll look for members to join the foundation and really partake into the next role of speakers and an exciting opportunity that's going to unfold. So once again, I want to thank you very much, Facebook audience, for joining us. And we will see you next week at the same location. And we will continue our conversation at that time. Thank you and have a good evening, Facebook. Okay, thank you, audience. So we're off live from Facebook, and we're still here. So Jeremiah, I want to thank you very much for coming and presenting to us. I think everyone has really, I think why I wanted Jeremiah to come here to let you guys know, he's correct that I first met him when he was a senior in high school, and the work that he has done over the years. And one of the things I told him about the relationship we define is we have to be our authentic self. We have to be real and have to show. I don't want to know just when he did things great. I needed to know when he did things not so well. And so what we develop, and just like with the foundation, what we try to do with our members and you as leaders, let us know when you drop the fork, when you drop the knife, because that's how we help you to grow and develop. That's how we show where this is the right way to do it. Because invariably, if you drop the fork and drop on a knife, you don't want persons to know that you did it, that you made a mistake. So you have to have the dynamics of that relationship, the dynamics of that confidence and trust. Trust is a very important factor of the relationships. And so with the foundation, we strive to do the same thing with you, our emerging leaders. No one single person has the answer to all the questions that you may come to bear, but at least you know that you can have a resource of persons that you can count on to be a sounding board or to give you sound advice. And everything I've said to each one of you, and I say to everyone that I do know, that the rules and the comments that I pontificate or I state, it also applies to me, I should say. So I don't sit on a perch or somewhere where this rule is A, you must follow rule A, but I'm following rule B. No, it's life is a continuous journey of learning, and it's with mountains and valleys, but it's an exciting place to be. So I know that Mario and Andrea, you have some project works or some items you want to talk about with the team. And Jeremiah, I want to thank you very, very much for all that you have done and presented. Any final words before Jeremiah departs? No, but we'll give him a round of applause. Jeremiah, thank you very much.
Thank you guys for having me. Thank you all. I dropped my email in the chat. Yeah, you guys could reach out. I'm all open ears. And good luck on your future endeavors. If you guys ever need any questions or anything, or if you ever shoot to Missouri, St. Louis, let me know. Let Ash know to let me know. So yeah, thank you, Ash.
Thank you. Have a pleasant
Thank
evening.
you. Thanks a lot.
Well.
Okay, great. So Andrea and Mario, I know you probably wanted to talk about some work, what we're going to do. Yes.
Good evening, everyone. Well, I hope you enjoyed this evening's presentation. I don't have much to say, but other than as you know, this is probably the last quarter of the program. And for the purpose of promoting what we are doing here with the group, we are basically going to highlight each participant in a similar way that we are, promoting the presenters and so forth. And obviously that will require taking our best photographs so we can, we can prepare a nice and a proper document and basically answering a few questions in an interview form, like how did you enjoy the program? What benefits did you get from it? We want to start promoting it, so we would probably ask everyone to, provide us with a nice photograph of yourself. Or if you don't have any, you're all invited to come to the office, come to my office. We have a small setup where you can take a photograph, and we will start doing those preparations, for that. So hopefully the sooner the better that you that you provide us with a picture, and then we can get going. But other than that, that's all I have for tonight.
Okay. Andrea, anything?
No, just that well, the marketing and branding group, we have been working on a few things, not so much this week, but we'll be able to present on that a little more probably next week if we have more time.
Okay.
But still working on some institutionally important things for the foundation. Also, the group did work on a flyer. Aj and I had spoken in Mario about the initiative with the Church Commercial Farming Group. And so the marketing and branding group did prepare a flyer to address that segment of the foundation's business. But we could probably circulate that in the chat if we don't have time tonight.
Okay.
Yeah.
So one piece I want to announce to the team. So we have, after tonight, we have 2 more sessions to go. And then the 26th of August, we will have a celebratory virtual celebration. So Andrea and Mario and I are working on that for you. But what we want to do is we want to segue this work into the Next Gen Bahamas, which will be repackaged. Next Gen is the youth division of the foundation, which just started last year, early part of this year, but has not really performed very well. So a couple of things we're working on. We're working on some funding, because one of the things we want to do, we know that everyone is volunteering their time with the foundation. But where we're going with this is we're looking to generate revenue. And so for yourselves, be part of this process, we were looking at ways whereby we can actually be able to put stipends of funds into your pocket. So it would not be always that you're just volunteering, getting anything back, because we do know we have to be realistic that the time is money, and there's the economics of the Bahamas, and just of each one of us in many ways is not as fluid as we would like it to be. So as we develop programs and processes, it will create opportunities to generate revenue and also get grants and other items. So that's what we're looking at. So I want to also, I think it may have been communicated previously to some extent by Mario, but the Next Gen Bahamas is, we have Jared is running with the Next Gen Bahamas right now, and what we're focused on is food security. So there's an initiative we're working around that, as well as there's some, I know that the legal team has worked on several policies and processes, documents which will be presented pretty soon for my review. I know marketing is working on some pieces as well. Business development is working on some pieces. So in much as you have a passion and a commitment for the foundation, I just want you to know that the work and the time you commit is not going unrecognized, or it's not going such that it will be fulfilling. One of the things we want to make sure that we bring to you is a platform where you can shape and mold the future of the Bahamas as it relates to natural resources. What's important to me is that we also bring people to this forum, people that we will continue to have guest speakers and invite persons that you may not be able to speak to or encounter on a normal basis. So we're going to bring them into the fold and for you to have conversations with them. And so not everything always falters on a dollar, because keep in mind is the relationships, because if you have the right relationship, that right relationship can direct you to the opportunity. And so it's important that we also expand the portfolio for you to have the relationship, because the youth, you are the future of the Bahamas. You are the future leaders. You are the ones that will guide and direct the administration, the lore, the pattern, the culture of our nation. And so as a foundation, we recognize that, and we want to do our part into helping you become well-tooled and competent to achieve those goals. And it's not that we don't have the answer. Through your lens, through your individual youth lens, you know what you want your country to be. You know what you want your country to grow into. And so what we can do as a team to help you contribute and build that process, that's where we want to do through the Next Gen Bahamas. So I look forward for you to continue being engaged, and as whatever limited time space you may have, but I assure you that where we're going, and some of the things I'm not privy to discuss at this point, but I can assure you that we're going very, very far. We are. And as we build this process, I think it would be just great for you to be along for the journey. So probably a year from now, you can look back and see, wow, look what we have done. So on that note, I want to thank you, ladies and gentlemen, and I will continue the hard work, continue due diligence, and we will see you next week. I thank you once again. Okay, good night.
Good night.